So art 3, I am back again with my pear example. Now I have done a little bit of research into some black and white pop art / abstract art, that kind of thing. And most of the more successful and interesting examples are something that has a lot of shading and detail on it. And since this particular part has less detail, what I'm going to do is go ahead and do this as a Zentangle, which basically means I'm going to be adding in patterns and designs and drawings with pencil first, and then going over those with a black ultrafine tip Sharpie so that it does still maintain that same black and white crispness. Now, one thing I could do would be if I wanted to do the black and white in the background and then use pens that matched the colors of the pear for the leaf and for the actual pear portion. So you can definitely combine. You do not have to do all black and white or all color. You can mix and match and do parts and pieces as you choose and as you think might benefit your project the most. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this particular section because what I'm going to do is go ahead and start drawing some of my Zentangle designs. Now I will post a Google Slides presentation and a bunch of links that will give you some ideas as to some different Zentangle things that you could add in at this point. But you can also just kind of pick a spot and start. Remember, you can use a ruler for straight edges. You can use a compass for circles. You can use the edge of a protractor. Various things that are in the room are at your disposal. So definitely, if you feel like you need to trace something, go right ahead. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and thicken this part of my pear, the outline, just so that it will stand out a little bit more from the background, so that now whatever designs I put in here stand out from this, so they don't completely just merge into the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing on the leaf, but I'm going to outline the outside of it instead of thickening the outline. That way I have some white negative space that kind of just echoes the leaf shape going into my background. And once again, the exact way that you choose to finish this is up to you. Even if you choose to do a Zentangle similarly to how I am, yours will look completely different. Now at this point, I could divide this particular space into shapes so that I could put different Zentangle patterns in the squares, kind of like a checkerboard or something like that. And I do actually like that idea, so I think that I will do that. And I'm going to actually use the centimeters on my ruler and just do 2 centimeters per square. So I'm just making little hash marks right now that are every 2 centimeters apart. Because even though this is a small part of my piece, I do still want to make sure that it is neat and that it is accurate and pristine. So I am going to be using the hash mark method. So I'm just going to slide my ruler over, line it up once again, and then even though this part of the pear does not have the Zentangle in it, I am going to go ahead and very lightly mark those hash marks. It's just going to be absolutely crucial that I make those lines really nice and light because I am definitely going to be erasing them. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler, line up my hash marks, and draw that line, but only in the section that will be the Zentangle portion. So I'm going to stop when I get to the diagonal line here. And then I'm going to move my ruler down, line up with the next group of hash marks, and once again, just draw that line. I'll turn my arm so you guys can see a little better. Within that Zentangle portion. Holding my ruler towards the middle. That way I'm not sliding it up or down as I'm drawing that line that goes across. And then obviously stopping when I get to the outline that I have added around the leaf. And when I get to the pear part, let's see if this one actually shows up here. Just a smidge there. I think I forgot to do 2 more of my hash marks, so I'm just going to line my ruler back up and go ahead and add in 2 more hash marks to finish up where I left off. Oops. So now I am going to go ahead and erase those hash marks that I don't need within that other space, because my concern is that I would forget to erase them until I'm working on one of those sections, and by that point it may be a little bit too late. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my hash marks going in the other way. Every 2 centimeters. And then I'm going to go up to the top of the page and do the same thing every 2 centimeters. And then I'm going to connect those across vertically, but I'm just going to turn my page because it's just easier for me to connect across horizontally. And again, I'm going to make sure that I avoid the sections that will be collage and realism, and avoid my leaf and the pear, so that the checkerboard is literally only in the background spaces of my Zentangle portion. So then I can go ahead and erase those horizontal lines or the hash marks that I don't need anymore, especially up here at the top, because once again that's going to be my colored pencil realism portion. So now I've got my background of my Zentangle portion divided into sort of a checkerboard. So now I can do different patterns in there. I can do some solid black, some solid white. Obviously, it's completely up to you, the exact patterns and designs that you choose. The main thing is that you want to make sure that the pear is still standing out from the rest of the background or whatever subject matter you are working on. So for instance, I'm just going to fill in the leaf here. I'm going to go ahead and add sort of a vein pattern. Now, I know that the vein pattern is not actually on a pear leaf, but I can definitely use it in this example and in this project, because what it does is give me more shapes to add more patterns. So even though something is not exactly 100% accurate, when you are working on a section in a style that is not realism, you can definitely change things up a little bit more. So then here I can go ahead and just add in different patterns. Always draw very lightly, because you will be going over all of this with an ultrafine tip pen. So you do want to make sure that your pencil lines are light and that they will erase completely. And on something like this, where you have Zentangle and you have a lot of small spaces, you can definitely repeat patterns. The key to repeating a pattern is just making sure, once again, that you do not have your parts of the subject too intertwined. You want to make sure that it is obviously distinguishable which is which, background and foreground, so that if you do repeat the patterns in multiple places, you're not confusing the viewer. So for instance, if I use circles in here, I would want to make sure they look different from these circles. Just like if I use circles in here, I would want to make sure that they were still different. And I can leave some spaces white, color them in black. Once again, you can add a color if you choose. But essentially, the whole section here is going to be Zentangle, patterns, black and white, and I will continue drawing in there. I'll do a little bit of the outlining step with a video so that you can see some of the video for a Zentangle, but I know that a lot of you have probably done Zentangle before or used the Color Me Calm coloring pages, which are very similar in aesthetic concept. And then I will have a video of shading for the realism portion and a separate video for the collage portion down at the bottom.